Welcome to the first episode of Edge of Intelligence, the podcast where we explore how AI is actually being used or not in the real world. I'm your host, Carl Owen, founder of Protelligent, where we help organizations make smarter, faster, and more secure decisions through strategic AI advisory. Our guest today is someone who's worn a lot of hats: pilot, policy strategist, private equity professional, and now civic tech leader. Jon Kokot is the co-founder and CEO of Civic, our startup that's reimagining our government's digital infrastructure. Prior to Civic, Jon held positions at Lazard and Blackstone and served in a range of leadership roles in the U.S. Navy, including directing air operations on assault carriers and serving as a military social aide to the president at the White House. He also spent time on the Hill as the Navy Legislative Affairs Officer, where he helped broker major strategic initiatives like the Top Gun range expansion. Jon, it's an honor to have you on the show. Before we dive in, tell us a bit about your journey. How did you connect the dots between national defense, finance, and civic innovation?
Yeah, thanks, Carl, for having me. It's great to be here. So yeah, the a few things came together for me. I'd say my time in the Navy enabled me to get some leadership experience very early in my career. I managed a team of 43 people as a 25-year-old, and most recently, I managed a team of 200 on an aircraft carrier on deployments. And so those experiences really gave me the confidence to run a company. And then additionally, working on Capitol Hill for the Navy as a Senate liaison helped establish the foundation. I'd say that experience was the cornerstone for Civic in building the relationships and also the know-how of Capitol Hill. And so combining those two things came together with the third thing, the finance piece, where I worked briefly at Blackstone and at Lazard. These were part of my MBA summer jobs. In both of those positions, well, and thirdly at Antiquity Capital, in all of those positions, I worked on AI strategy and using AI tools, and seeing the concepts in fintech of portfolio management, due diligence, workflow automation. I got to thinking that all of those could be applied to government. And so combining all three of those experiences enabled me to start Civic.
What is Civic's mission, and what does transforming government's digital infrastructure actually look like in practice?
So we are in the near term, we're solving the messy inbox problem on Capitol Hill. There's a lot of AI being used by lobbying groups, advocacy, and other organizations external to government, and that's creating a lot of traffic on Capitol Hill, and a lot of corollary casework. There's a billion plus cases that are managed by the government each year, and the tools right now just aren't really capable of handling that. So really, as we think about Capitol Hill and the mission beyond Capitol Hill, we're doing two primary things, which is increasing the productivity of each member of the U.S. government, and then improving outcomes for citizens. And those two things are what drive our team. Yeah.
What are some of the biggest inefficiencies or challenges you're trying to solve?
So the tools that currently exist across the government aren't really equipped to handle the amount of volume that government workers receive. On Capitol Hill, they're often receiving hundreds, if not thousands, of emails, voicemails, phone calls, physical mail a day. The there's just it's They just have legacy inbox capability, and they're also not able to really make a lot of use of the data, and they don't have the time to really make use of the data, so they have to buy all of their data to understand their constituency, and additionally, there's like a disconnect between the layers of government in that each agency, each organization has a different type of interface. There's a portal, there's an inbox, you have to call someone. And so we're trying to put these pieces together to make our government work more smoothly.
Yeah, that's a big challenge.
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
Where does Civic sit in the broader tech ecosystem? Are you guys building platforms, tools, integrations?
So we're building a platform for Capitol Hill now. Our first product, which is called Revere, is an end-to-end platform that uses AI, and we've got reasoning models. We've got LL using right now. We're using AWS Bedrock and Claude, the instance of Claude and Bedrock to handle inbound, to categorize and triage emails. And then um, we're additionally using we're creating a system that can help them generate content. We also have a casework module on the platform that enables caseworkers to complete cases more quickly and to manage documents more effectively. So and then there's also a stakeholder CRM component which enables the office to say, hey, we met with this advocacy group or this corporation or this person 2 years ago. We have a meeting with them scheduled coming up. Here's what we need to know about this person. So there's like a CRM component, but it's really like a holistic platform for a congressional office, and that's product number one for us, and we're really excited to roll it out here this summer.
That's sweet. I worked in the government for a while myself, and I know how challenging that can be. I worked for the Department of Energy and NASA and different agencies like that, so I know how challenging it can be. How do you guys balance long-term transformation with the practical realities of working with government clients?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so thankfully, the process on Capitol Hill for becoming a vendor and releasing a product is compared to the federal process is relatively, I guess, simple, not quite as onerous. And so that actually has been, the practical implementation of our product is at the core of what we're doing, focusing on Capitol Hill because we can actually get into Capitol Hill without FedRAMP certification. We have to be hosted on a FedRAMP certified cloud, but we don't need that certification. We don't have to go through a multi-year RFP and procurement process. So I think we've been quite strategic about where we're starting on Capitol Hill, and then as we build our sort of our client base there and gain sort of reputational trust there on Capitol Hill, we can move into other areas, having proven our product and our company, and start our sales effort at the federal level, at the local and state level, and so I think the combination of getting revenue early on Capitol Hill mixed with a long-term plan to move into those other areas is gonna give us stability as a company.
What's your take on how AI can, and in some cases can't, improve public sector service right now?
So AI, I think, has a unique capability, and especially with reasoning models, to read content, unstructured data, and pull data and structured data from the unstructured data, which enables us to do clustering of emails, to automatically manage an inbox, to create data-rich constituent profiles. These are things that are so manual right now and take hours. Truly there are staff members whose lives, professional lives, are devoted to doing just that task, and that's something that AI is just great at. And it's a monotonous job that takes effort and resources away from actually developing policy and things that people are more passionate about. So we're excited about that for AI. I would say, to give an example of something that AI is not great at. We think the, the the human touch and the human element within completing casework and understanding someone's problem on a deep level and creating that connection is not something we don't want to remove that. We're not taking the human out of the loop of this process. And we don't want to do that. And there's been no demand signal for that from our customers. So that's that's one area we where AI really can't fill in the gap. And the human in the middle is something we plan to keep.
You have any lessons learned to this point that you want to share?
Yeah, yeah. We you know we've deployed, or we haven't deployed yet, but we're building right now in AWS, and I think in understanding cloud deployments, we've learned quite a bit. We started with Microsoft Azure, thinking that we had to be in a gov cloud, but then came to realize that the house actually um, has an AWS commercial FedRAMP medium unique environment, and so I think having all the information and understanding what your customer actually needs is something that like can save you effort and time and resources, and I think that's a big lesson early on. And the second thing is, sort of in that vein of understanding the customer, is like doing but when I started the company, before we started building, I did at least 50 customer interviews on Capitol Hill with current and former Capitol Hill employees, and so really understanding the problem, knowing that there's a demand for it, was at the core of our development.
That's awesome. Where do you see the biggest missed opportunities for AI in government?
So I think there are big missed opportunities in data, and I think data is siloed across so many areas of government and organizations, and there's this massive pool of it's not a pool of data, it's like separate lakes of data across the government, and if we could get all that data together, we could really understand the citizenry of the U.S. and help people. And so I think that's one really underutilized component that like data science combined with AI can really be used to improve outcomes for citizens. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what I would say is like probably the number one missed opportunity.
I think that challenge, the data challenge, spans all the verticals, not just government. I mean, I think that's the biggest
Yeah,
thing out there right now. People don't
yeah,
understand that's critical to making your AI systems work.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And one of the components is, speaking of data and training our system. Like at the moment, we don't really have access to all the data, so we're forced to use synthetic data, which is another interesting thing. And synthetic data can be really valuable. And there's an opportunity, and I know there are people doing this, but mapping constituencies using synthetic data and using AI to determine, oh, is like what's the outcome of this bill and this piece of legislation. That's like just a really cool futuristic thing of creating an entire fake population and testing legislation. Is like, I know they're doing it. There's like it's like the Stanford simulacra is like the sort of kind of the first research case of this. I think that was done in like 23, of like, here are these all these agents, these AI agents that live in a town, and how do they interact? And I think that's going to be really interesting for government in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. What what are some of the significant barriers, technological, cultural, or regulatory, that you're seeing when it comes to AI adoption across the public sector?
I think there's in government, there's definitely a much lower risk appetite than there is in the private sector. What we've seen with a lot of prospective customers is that they don't want to take a risk on a new product. There's um, an acceptance of the status quo and a reluctance to say, oh, hey, there's this new company, I want to take a chance on them. Whereas I think they think, oh, like is my data going to get lost in this export and import? Is this company, is this like, you know, is this startup going to exist a year from now? I think these are questions. These are questions that government asks that, I don't think in the private sector, a lot of people ask. In the private sector, they say, "Is it the best tech? I want the best tech," and that's not always the case.
That's true. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Are, what are some of the other workflows that you're seeing that are ripe for automation?
So on the casework side, we think that there's a big opportunity to implement AI agents there to actually do document collection, document transfer, prompting constituents to submit signatures. These are things that cause cases. And let's say an example of a case is someone's missing their Social Security payment, so they reach out to their congressperson to help them restart these payments or something. And um, and so in a lot of cases, the paperwork will sit either at the federal level or at the constituent level, and that's something that can be really like sped up through an AI agent that says, "Hey, we still need this document. These are things like the AI agent will has like infinite capability to like to take action, right? Versus a human caseworker can only handle so many cases. So I think that's one of the really exciting automations. There's also, the idea of helping with research and content generation for congressional offices using a retrieval augmented generation system. So they're using their data room, their archived letters, their press releases, Twitter, if that's what they want to include in their data room and they don't always. I would say public officials don't always sound the same in their official capacity as they do on Twitter. So sometimes maybe
Surprise.
don't want to include that data set, but but using that to create a digital twin of a person to then help write in their voice to assist staff members in generating responses to people is something that's really exciting and yeah, so I would say those are probably like the two most exciting automations for us.
Have you had any pushback using LLMs or generative tools to access the data or services to this point?
Oh, yeah, well, so there are concerns about the data, and I think that's actually one of our strengths, though, is that we can say, hey, we've got a closed architecture. We're using Amazon AWS Bedrock, and we've got a cloned instance of Claude or another model that is in a closed architecture, and it's not being your data won't be used to train ChatGPT or Anthropic's model. And so that's actually one of our offerings to an office. But there is a reluctance, to actually utilize AI. I think for two reasons. One, there's a concern for an office that if staff members are using AI, that they're not getting the reps, the training that they would be otherwise. So that's one concern. And then the other is that they're concerned of a headline saying, "Oh, my congressperson used AI to write a response to me," or they're using AI to do research, and there's not a human behind this response. And I think how we, like I said earlier, we're not taking the human out of the loop. And like there are so many cases in history where we've done automations and people like there's been an uproar, like let's just say go back to 1905 when the US Treasury implemented counting machines for the first time, and everyone was saying, "Oh my God, the counting machine can't possibly do the job as well as a human." If you go to fast forward to 1983 when the word processor that came out, and it's like, oh my God, now what's going to happen to all the typists? Uh, like, I think after in every single case, we've looked back and said, well, yeah, like that's like pretty obvious that innovation was the right thing to do at that time. And I think we're getting a little bit of that too now with AI. It's like, oh, well, like if you implement AI, it's going to hallucinate. I mean, they do hallucinate at times, but we're also being very conscious of that and using multiple models to one model for content generation and another model to verify that model's content. And so, but I think, like getting back to my point, I think we are at another one of those moments where people are really concerned about displacement of workers. How is AI going to act if once you give it autonomy? But I do believe that we're gonna look back and say, oh yeah, of course, like AI agents are like the most obvious thing ever now. What would we do without them? Yeah, that's how I'm feeling about
No, I absolutely agree with that.
it.
There's so much hype with AI right now. What is Civic's approach to staying innovative without getting caught up in all that AI?
So we are combining like two main elements. We've got like an innovative uh, AI approach to using AI to do these automations that I've described. And our founding AI engineer Nick is an expert in this. He's been working in AI for 8 years and he's both creative and well versed in models and reasoning models and topic modeling and RAG. And so we've got a very focused approach in the AI in being creative there, while at the same time building a platform that is very practical for the needs of our customer. And my co-founder Julian, he's just an expert in building awesome things for. He was the first AI engineer at Walmart's AI Center for Excellence, and he built awesome products for Walmart. And he's built awesome products as the founding engineer and CTO of startups. And so, just building a great, really usable, really stable and functional product plus that creative AI component, I think that's our winning recipe.
What would need to what would need to be true, internally or externally, for AI to play a bigger role in your road?
So we would need to demonstrate fidelity with our AI models. That's a huge thing. Is getting over that hurdle, the apprehension of oh, this thing, like if it gets something wrong, it's we're going to make a headline. So we need to get over that hurdle and say, hey, we've got a safe and reliable model that is generating content 100% of the time. That is the content you want, and it's performing. It's not only performing better than a human because we can we can we can get it where at this point it actually we're already doing that, but it has to, because the stakes are so high. uh it has to perform at like a near 100% success rate, and that is like that's the big hurdle. And also there needs to be a widespread adoption and appetite for AI. And right now there are leaders. Our design partner in the U.S. House is really tech forward, and there are many others that have that interest in using AI and know that that's the future. But there's those are that's a that's a decent size of I think the government workforce, but there's a large chunk of people who are really concerned about AI and even scared. And so it's educating people and getting people used to AI, which will, I mean, it's inevitable that will happen with time, but speeding that process up is really important to us. And it's great that there are advocacy groups that are training Capitol Hill and government. There's PopVox, which is a congressional advocacy group for training people on the Hill. There's the House Digital Services, which is in the U.S. House, that is really like innovation forward and creating great new products for the Hill. And so it takes a lot of people and a lot of education to get over that hurdle.
Makes sense. You talked a minute ago about the performance of the model and it performing better than humans and that kind of thing. As we all know, it's not a one and done thing, so it requires constant fine tuning and all that. How do you guys do that and handle that process?
Yeah, so we're using AWS Bedrock, which brings a lot of advantages. One, it's quite inexpensive. We were originally using OpenAI and doing API calls there, and after switching to Bedrock, we've seen our costs go down by 80 times. It's like really truly like a very small fraction of the cost. And so like that's an advantage. And then also we've got access to all the latest models through AWS Bedrock. And so right now we've got that, like I said, that cloned instance of Claude that we're using, and we're training that model to understand constituent emails and to batch emails together, understand likeness. And so like that's what we're working on right now. But yeah, using those tools to our advantage is really and also Nick's work on creating a beautiful, it's called Panini, is our repo for like the AI side of the house. And if I could show you that, it's a beautiful, it's like a masterpiece what he's drawn up there as far as the AI logic.
You guys are doing some really cool stuff, but I'm sure it doesn't
Thanks.
end there, right? So what's
Yeah.
your vision on how Civic evolves over the next few years?
Yeah, so we're starting with Capitol Hill, and we've created and we want to continue creating an awesome product for Capitol Hill. And then as we look um, beyond the hill and to bigger markets, we want to connect this AI assistant to the federal the agency component, which is we're thinking IRS, Social Security Administration, Medicare, Medicaid, VA, FEMA. These are all and others. These are all agencies that we want to put civic at that end of the equation, not just at the congressional layer, but put civic assistance in the federal layer. And once we do that, we've got a beautiful combination of casework completing assistance. So that's one future thing. And then as we, after tackling Capitol Hill, going to the local and state level, where there's a lot of opportunity and there's a huge overlap between our current product and what they need in city councils, mayor's office, counties, state legislatures. I think we can, with relative ease, we can sort of adapt our product to the local and state needs. And so that's kind of that's where we're looking. And we're definitely not, we are a GovTech company, but we certainly haven't written off commercial. If this thing sort of goes gangbusters and we can do customer service at the commercial level with this product, I think that's a totally an opportunity as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's just hundreds of opportunities in
Yeah,
the corporate world. I mean, everybody's looking for somebody to help with this exact problem, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, as the opportunities continue to expand and as the tech matures, how are you thinking about how the team's capabilities and the technical capacity as you evolve? What are you thinking about from those perspectives?
So it really comes down to hiring great talent. Julian has the ability himself to build awesome things, and he also has the ability to recruit great people. And so he brought in Nick and Frank and Rohan, our software engineers, um, and it's continuing to be focused on the customer and what they need, while coupling that with just recruiting great people that have the same vision, or maybe not the exact same vision, but the passion for this mission is really important. And I think that's how we stay ahead of the competition.
Are you having any trouble finding qualified talent?
Actually, no, no. I'm I'm super stoked with our team right now, and we have a full team at the moment. Like we've raised pre-seed, and we're going to go for a seed raise in Q1 or Q2 of 2026. So right now, I mean, we like I had heard from people that recruiting is really difficult, but it actually was like pretty easy for us. Really surprisingly easy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That kind of
Yeah,
leads to my
thank
next question. If you had unlimited compute and budget, what moonshot AI project would you tackle?
Yeah, we go back to that data um that data ocean to create and to be able to connect to create an ontology of all the data across the US government and to be able to say, oh, this person has this problem and we know that this organization has this resource or the ability to solve this problem. We should make those connections and and more easily solve that person's problem. I think like that's the beautiful future that I believe as a government we will ultimately get to, is connecting all levels of government, local, state, federal, in in a network that can more quickly solve people's problems. That's like that's the sort of infinite dream that I have. Yeah.
Well, hearing how Civic is navigating this space is incredibly energizing. At Proteligen, we try to help teams bridge strategy and execution on AI transformation, especially where the stakes are high and the systems are complex. I'd love to keep our conversation going, offline as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Carl. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and to be and thanks for inviting me here today. And I absolutely see like the potential for us to collab and really like work to creating a better future for our government and the country.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd absolutely love to do that. Well, if folks want to connect and collaborate with you guys or just follow what Civic is doing, how should they find you?
So we're at get-civic.com. You can go and check out our website, and you can send us a message there. I'm also available at Jon, that's Jon, at get-civic.com. And of course, I'm open to any questions and any interest. I appreciate you bringing that up, Carl. Thanks.
Perfect. Jon, thanks for being our first guest on Edge of Intelligence. Your journey from military leadership to reimagining government tech is both inspiring and deeply relevant to where AI is heading. And for our listeners, if today's episode sparked ideas, raised questions, or highlighted gaps in your own AI journey, let's connect. You can find more about what we do at Proteligen.com or follow along for further episodes where we dive into real stories at the intersection of innovation, impact, and intelligence. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and stay at the edge of intelligence.
Thanks, Carl. Looking forward to listening to next episode and all those after.
Thank you, Jon. Appreciate it.
All right. See you, Carl.
See you.